out over those steps. So you will not.
All right, guys, it's 6:35. Let's get rolling here. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody good? Everybody good? Welcome to CR on the Hill. It's community recovery. If we have any new folks in the room tonight, if you would, please grab one of these postcards, or if you want to raise your hand, I'll pass one out to you. But we just ask that you fill one of these out for us. If you haven't filled one out and you've been here before, please fill one out. It just goes to me and Dave and the leadership team, so that we know who's been here and we got a contact for you. A couple quick announcements. Easter's coming up right around the corner. We got several services that's going to be here on Easter Sunday. We got some bumper stickers that we always want to hand out every year. Just so you know, these are very, very easy to peel back off of your vehicle, so don't be scared to put it on there. You can put it right on the paint. I've done it before. Or if you want to put it on the back window, I'm getting ready to put a couple on my Jeep. So take you some of these. We got them laying on the table up here. And that website, Easter@scc.org, will tell you everything you need to know about the Easter services here on the Hill. A couple other quick things I saw laying around here. There's The Art of Marriage is a marriage workshop for those of you that are married. It's $10 a couple. They do a lot of stuff. What's that?
Next weekend.
Next weekend, yeah. Where's the date? March 25th is a Saturday from 9 to 12.
And it's also Friday night. It's Friday night and Saturday.
That's why you're here, Dave.
Just want to get
Saturday, April 8th, for those of you with a bunch of kids, we got an Easter egg hunt. And let me tell you something, if you haven't been to this thing, you need to take the kids to this. And I'll give you a little tip. Don't be late. Because they pull the trigger right at the time it's 11 a.m. At 11 a.m. you're going to have about 1,000 kids running across the field looking for eggs. And you don't want to be late for that because they will take them all.
Do they have adult division? Do they
Huh?
have an adult division?
I don't know.
Adult division
It's
is
worth a try.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, community recovery is a 12-step program. We base it off of three things. Celebrate Recovery, which is a biblical-based 12-step program. We take AA and NA, and we kind of threw it all in a blender and blended it up and made community recovery. That's what we are. We are also a biblically based 12-step program. We truly believe that Jesus Christ is the key difference between just getting sober, getting clean, getting right with your life, and having true recovery. Okay, so please take that thought seriously. If you don't have Jesus in your life, just stick around for a couple of weeks, get to know Him, because it's powerful, okay? If you guys have a folder in front of you there, you should have some on the tables. If you don't, let me know. Raise your hand. We got some extras. The very first page in this is our 12 steps. It's front and back. We ask for a volunteer every week, if you will. Somebody volunteer to read the step. Doug, thank you. And then we'll join in as a group with the scripture that follows it up.
Thanks, Doug.
Step 1, powerless. Admit we are powerless and that our lives have become unmanageable.
Romans 7:18. For I know that nothing good. All right, guys. So just to be clear on these 12 steps, we do 12 steps here over a 16-week series, what we call a 16-week series, and that gives us, we do step 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll have what we call a bye week, which is either a guest speaker, a testimony, something of that nature. And we do that every 4th week. And then at the end of the 16 weeks, we have what we call a celebration night. The last couple of nights, our worship minister here, Stu Embry, had come and done some worship music with us. So that's always a good night too. That's just a celebration night that we can, for the completion of the 12 steps. Tonight is actually one of our testimony nights. So you got a great speaker coming up to here in just a few minutes. First, before we do that though, we like to get into the serenity prayer. Every week we do this. This is a prayer that's known around the recovery world, but we take it to heart because we also, not only do we want to pray for ourselves, but we do want to pray for those that are still out there that need to come for recovery, for redemption, for whatever their issue is, okay? So take a moment of silence, say a quick prayer for yourself and them, and then I'll start us out in this prayer and we'll say it together. God, grant me the strength to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So Mr. Josh is going to come up to our chip ceremony for us tonight.
Hey guys, I'm Josh. Here at CR, we celebrate periods of success in your ism, whatever it may be, however, wherever you're here, we want to celebrate those periods of time that you have been sober, been clean, been happy, and have just been living the way of Jesus Christ. For me to be up here, this is a huge honor because I was actually looking at my chips yesterday because I got this little board that I can put all my chips in at home, and I'll just line them up, 1 through 12 or whatever. Well, apparently I'm missing 1 through 4 from CR because I didn't start coming here until month 5 of my sobriety. So, I look at this as a big honor because CR has helped me immensely come to Jesus and come to God and to want to become a member of this church with my family and my friends and celebrate this life with you guys on the right path. So with that being said, the first chip is the blue chip. This is the most important chip that you'll ever get. This is the turning point chip. This is the starting point chip, the jumping off chip, whatever you want to call it. It can be for anything and everything that you have in your mind that you just want to give up and give to God. So as we like to say, it's time to just let go and let God. So if anybody wants to take that journey, that starting chip today, we got a blue chip for you. All right. Well, we'll move into 30 days. Does anybody have 30 days? And 11 months. All right. 1 year or more, please be sure to talk to the leadership team, and they'll get you one of these fancy ones made, like this here. And it's got your name engraved on it, and they'll get that to you whenever it's your year celebration.
When you're approaching that year mark, let me know about 3 to 4 weeks in advance, and we'll make sure we get that custom ordered for you.
And then jump back to this blue chip. Anybody want to start a journey today? All right.
Just keep going. You're doing great.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys for giving me the honor to be up here to give out chips, and it's. There you go.
All right, so here's the deal. And Ben, I'm gonna guess if you go, when you come, if you're like sitting right over there, like in front of Ken, you can block your eyes.
In the pillar shadow?
You guys are, some of you maybe have been here long enough that you've heard this story before. Some of you maybe, if you grew up in Shelby County, know part of this story because parts of it have been fairly public, especially when things happen. But Ben Medley is a deacon at our church. How's that sound?
A little scary.
Yeah. And there was
Take it to
there.
the next level.
Yeah, and I think Ben will. I'm not going to tell his story, but I think he would tell you there was a season in his life where being introduced as a deacon at Shelby Christian or any church probably wasn't trending that way. As
No, not at all.
but God took horror and turned it into one of the most awesome stories. And I'm just going to go back and sit down, but I am going to coach you like if you know the 3 or 4 things that you leave that out and I'm going to stop you. All right? Because this guy's life was forever changed in an instant one afternoon. But what's happened since then has been God.
Every bit of it.
So, Ben Medley, guys.
Like Dave said, I'm Ben. They just asked me to come up and kind of tell y'all my story. I mean, I grew up just like anybody else, you know, in and out of church with my parents. You know, they really wanted me to go. I found other things to do, better things to do. Wanted to sleep in on Sunday morning, this and that. To go hunting every chance I got. And, you know, once I graduated high school, you know, I was just like anybody else. I was running around, partying, having a good time. And met a young lady that I can still say she's my wife. Very honored in that aspect. But I guess to jump into the story, I got married on July 3rd, 2004. And everything was going okay. You know, we had our ups and downs, just like any new married couple. And you know, going in like the 6 months of being married, you know, it was pretty rocky at that time. And you know, we were doing what we could to make it work. But like I said, it was a struggle both ways. And on July 3rd, I had a buddy of mine who had just graduated boot camp. It's 2005. And I asked my wife at the time, I knew it wasn't going to be good, and I said, would you care to have our wedding anniversary and a party at the same time? And she just kind of looked at me, and I'm like, he's only in town for a couple weeks. So my parents were out of town. I had a party there. Of course, you know, they were drinking and partying and carrying on. And come 11:55, my wife's inside. She yells outside. Of course, we're in and out of the swimming pool. I'm diving in, diving out. 11:55, around that time, she looks at me and she said, Ben, you better come in here. She said, we got to take a bite of our cake for good luck. I said, all right. I didn't pay no more attention to it. 11:59, she said, you better get your butt in there. We're getting ready to have bad luck. I said, let me dive in one more time. And I took off running. I jumped in. I jumped over an EMT that was there. And I hit the other side. And I broke my neck. I couldn't move anything. I sunk to the bottom. I was flailing around my arms a little bit. And my sister was there, and she heard it. She said it sounded like a gunshot went off. Nobody else heard it. So she jumps in and gets my head above water. And luckily enough, as you would have it breaking your neck, I jumped over an EMT, and he had a collar in his truck. Well, I'm gonna bounce back just a little bit. And I had started a lawn care business probably a year before that. I had bought a trailer, a little bitty trailer. I was just getting started. And they had sides to go around the trailer made out of plywood. And I took all 3 of them off. I said, I better hang on to at least one of these sides. I don't know what for. So it was 4 feet tall, or 2 feet tall and 8 feet long, and I just stuck it in my parents' basement, stuck it behind the door. And as soon as they got me stable in that pool, he yelled for his collar, he called for a helicopter, and he said, Ben, is there any piece of wood around here that you can think of
Wow.
that we could get you laid out on and get you out of this pool? And I said, and I told him exactly where it was. And I mean, it was by grace of God. You know, God told me, you know, you need to save that piece of wood. It was just a low, flimsy piece of wood. And the helicopter came and got me. They took me to Shelbyville. The helicopter picked me up and then flew me downtown to U of L. And of course, I never got to eat that piece of cake. That's one time that I can go back and say if I listen to my wife. But they put me in an induced coma. When I hit my head, I guess my initial reaction was to breathe in. Well, I sucked in a lot of chlorine water, and they said that because of that, it was like inhaling battery acid, and it scorched the lower 3/4 of my lungs. So my broken neck was the least of their worries at this time. They came in and they were doing bronchostomies, put me on a trach machine. Bronchostomy is where they go in every other day and clean your lungs out, and suck out the pneumonia and that kind of thing. And I was getting one of those every other day, and you know, breathing from a machine. And I'm not really sure on what day it was, but the doctors called the family in. They said he's got a blood clot in his lung. He's crashing, and y'all got to get down here. It's not good. So all my family comes in, and they've got me sitting straight up in the hospital bed. I mean, as straight as I can get. They got me strapped in, and I can remember just a little bit. I don't know if Dave knows this part of the story or not, but when I was sitting there, I would come into consciousness just because of the movement where they had me in that coma, just the movement where they had me sitting up. And I would come out of my sedation, and there was like 5 white coats around me. All 5 doctors were there just trying to figure out what to do, how to bring me back. And I would drift back out. And I know some of you will, but some of you might be too young, but back in the day, when you looked at a computer and it went to sleep, it was like these little stars were coming at you, but they never hit. And I was riding through them stars. And then I would come back to, and the doctors would still be around. I'd go back, and those stars, they would just... I was hoping I was headed to heaven. I was going somewhere. But for the grace of God, I made it through it. There was like a 99% chance that I wouldn't make it through. But the first time I can actually remember, it was August the 12th. They had me in induced coma for around 40 days. And immediately when I woke up, you know, at that time my arms didn't work. I could raise them up a little bit. My hands didn't work at all. This hand actually doesn't work at all. And I went into just this major depression. And I laid there. I didn't want to live no more. I got a wife that, you know, we've only been married just a little bit over a year. And now here I am, you know, what good am I? I couldn't do anything. How am I going to work? How am I going to provide? And my granddad come in, and he knew I was down, and he looked at me and he said, "Well, Ben, you've had a terrible hand of cards dealt to you." He said, "You can either play them or you can fold them, and if you fold them, you're gonna give up." And that just stuck with me. And I'm like, he's right. So let's see what we can make of it. But I was still down and out. I just couldn't get out of it. Fast forward a little bit longer, I got out of U of L on August the 28th, and I went to Fraser Rehab, and I busted my butt in there. I did everything I could. Nothing was getting any better. Everything stayed the same. I was getting a little bit stronger. They put me in a manual chair like this, and I could push maybe 5 feet. I was completely done. I was give out. And I looked at her and I said, "You don't have to stay. Like there's no hard feelings. You don't need, at 24, you don't need to be taking care of a guy, that's paralyzed." And she said, "As long as you don't give up, I won't either." So she kind of laid it on my table at that time. And I got back out. I got home. We actually left the hospital on her birthday. And I said, "Take me to the country." I said, I was looking out these windows and seeing concrete after concrete. I said, "Take me to the country." So she got off at Gene Snyder and we took the back roads home. And I kid you not, with no ab muscles. I don't have abs. I'm actually paralyzed from here down. I was bouncing all over the front of that car like a pinball machine. I didn't have no balance. She hit the brakes one time, man, and my head bounced off that thing. But for a little bit over 2 months, I was never by myself. I always had somebody there, and it didn't really give me a chance to release. When I got home, she had to go back to work after a couple weeks. And I was sitting there in my living room, I really couldn't go anywhere. And my neighbor across the street, he come walking across his yard to go get his mail. And I just lost it. I cried and cried and cried. And life was over at that point. And, I can't say I hit my knees, but I sure felt like I did, and I started praying. And I started my business back up. And I was able, they were actually able to pick me up, set me on a lawnmower, and strap me in. I mean, I could, if it had flipped off a cliff, I wouldn't have come off. My parents, they had me tight, my legs strapped down, waist strapped down, chest strapped down. But I was actually doing something that benefited, it benefited my mind, benefited my family. I was able to actually get back out and at least try to earn a little bit of income, which then boosted my spirits. And I got to where I was, I wasn't really involved in church there for, what was that, maybe 6 or 8 years. But I mean, I had always had my faith. And then my wife actually said, she said, "Do you think we ought to go try Shelby Christian?" And I just lived right over here, and I drove by it all the time. I'm like, "Nah, it's going to go to church." And I said, "Man, there's too many people over here." And when I would go out in public, and I see somebody that I hadn't seen in a while, people want to pet on me. "Oh, it's so good to see you out. You looking good, And by this time, I had already fired my business back up. and I wasn't looking for a pity party. My mind was like, I just wanted to be looked at as a normal person, not as a person in a chair. And we came here, nobody pet on me. Everybody was asking me about my business and hunting and how things were going. I'm like, man, that felt awesome. Get back in the church. And then next thing I know, we were here basically every Sunday, and I looked at Emmy, that's my wife. I said, you know, it's weird, we don't even ask each other whether or not we're gonna go to church. We're gonna be out of town and we're not gonna make it to church. I said it was just automatic. And everything just started clicking. And the only way to explain it is God, you know. And for me, I just kept on wanting to push on my business. And everything started taking a back seat at this point. And then finally I looked at Emmy and talked to God, and he's like, you know what, there's more to life than just getting out there and busting your butt every day. And I started coming to a life group. We actually ended up starting one, and it's just been smooth sailing ever since. But it took a lot of hardship, a long road to be able to find that peace. But I wouldn't trade it now for anything. And I know that's what Dave's been waiting on. I was mowing for, Dave actually asked me to come over and help him clean up his leaf. Did you ask me if why I had a smile on my face all the time? Is that what it was?
Something about that.
He said, why are you always smiling? Why not? He said, if you could go back and change, what would you change? And I said, I wouldn't. I wouldn't go back to walking. I said, the people I've met, the lives that I hopefully, because this isn't the first time, I teach a little small group at Fraser a couple times a year to new spinal cord injuries. I said, those guys, I said, you know, the people that have helped me, the lives that I hopefully I've changed, I said, there's no way that I would go back and give all that up just to be normal again, if that's normal. Whatever normal is.
Right.
So I guess all in all, you know, life sucks a lot of times, but it's easy to bounce back if you just open your eyes and put your heart where it needs to be. Yep. And, you know, just pray, talk to him, and you never know where he might lead you. He might lead you to be a deacon at a church.
But you drive past them.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate y'all having me.
Thank
No,
you.
wait.
How long ago was it?
August 15th, 2015.
Yeah. Yeah, I did overlook that. And that's a big one though.
Yeah.
Because I already had that in my mind and everything. I rewatched my video last night. After it happened pretty quick too. We were sitting there at the house talking. I was baptized as a young kid, you know, like 10, 11, 12. I don't actually remember the date. My mom's out of town, otherwise she'd probably tell me. But my wife was baptized as a baby. And she said, what do you think about me getting baptized? I said, well, if you gotta get rebaptized, I definitely gotta get rebaptized. You're way better than me. So we went up and talked to Dave, and of course, getting in the baptistry is a bunch of steps. I'm like, this ain't gonna work. You know, you gotta go up steps and down steps. I said, what about getting baptized where I broke my neck?
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So, where all hell broke loose, I defeated it.
Right.
So, you know, just keep plunging away. You didn't miss anything else?
You hit at least a couple of big ones.
How long have you and Emmy been married?
This will be 19 years.
Awesome.
Yep, it's been 19 years. Yep.
She
Any
should
other
have
questions?
run a long time ago, shouldn't she?
Still put up with a lot. Anybody got any other questions? Yes,
How you
sir.
balancing your business time and your family time and all that today?
Well, my wife actually just told me. She said, "You're just gonna have to cut it off at 5, 6 o'clock. And I want you home at, dinner time, and then I don't really want you working on weekends." I understand weather plays a big factor in that, but I was working until 8, 9 o'clock, as long as the sun was up.
And you're good with that?
Oh yeah. Ain't no more money than before. No. No more money.
God will
Probably
bless you
more.
for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Thanks for being here.
I lost track a long time when I was a young guy. I kept track of how many baptisms I've done. And it's like I know August 15th. I'll always know August 15th. That was the first thing. That was the first thing Ben said to me when we got him up out of the water. Jason and I went over and did it together. Make sure we could do it. And as soon as we got him back up out of the water, he looked at me and said, however many years ago it would have been, I think he said, "All hell broke loose in this pool, and today hell was defeated."
Yeah.
That's the first words out of his mouth. And I watched him, and I watched Ben lead other people. And like he said, led a life group now, and just helping out any way he can. They're not doing their life group, so he jumped in and helping Brett and the men's group, and God's doing incredible stuff in there. And they're getting ready to have a big celebration Sunday morning.
Yeah.
In fact, there's going to be a whole lot of water moving this weekend. That's all I'm saying. And to pick which service you want to come to, it's happening in all of them. And in fact, it's pretty cool. We were talking about a staff meeting today. This will be the first weekend since we started Thursday night worship that we've had a baptism Thursday night and both services on Sunday.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but here's the thing, and Ben would never say this, and I don't say it for the right, but when I watch Ben and the way that he and Emmy live their life, I just want to look at a bunch of people and, what's your excuse? What's your excuse? Because I'm watching dude kill it. And I watch him get in and out of that truck by himself and get out of his truck and onto a tractor by himself and mow. And what's your excuse? And change the way he's lived his life, and still killing bigger deer than me every year. I'm pretty sure out there toward Baghdad they're feeding something that's probably illegal, but but yeah, that's just everybody, and we are videotaping, so this will be on our CR on the Hill YouTube channel. So not only, but I would encourage you got somebody that's having their own pity party, yeah, get in their face and tell them they need to watch and listen to a guy that, and from the world standpoint, Ben, you had every reason in the world to throw your own pity party. from the world standpoint. But man, praise God for your granddad,
Yeah.
who was a great man. And I've gotten to know, his sister and brother-in-law come here, his mom and dad come here, and I don't know, good night, how many friends. They got their own section. You always hear the story about people coming in, hey, you're sitting in my seat, don't mess with front left at 9:30 because you're sitting in their section. I mean, but that's testament that where we've been, what you've done, who you've done it with, what's happened to you.
Yep.
Once you get to, hey, you ever feel powerless?
He said,
I mean, we talk about it figuratively, but you're looking at a man that was powerless, laying on the bottom of the pool, moments from death. That's powerless. And for some of us, all it's like, I just got to suck it up and quit drinking my life away, or quit shooting my life away, or quit eating my life away, or whatever. So, I mean, if I were going to go down through and do video or do pictures for each of the steps, I'd use Ben Medley at Powerless, and then I'd also use him on, what did he just do? Step 12. You realize that? You just saw steps 1 through 12 all tonight of my life changed forever, and now all I can do is share the story. And I know he does the stuff at Frazier, but we've had a couple other people that we've known that I've had to call and say, hey Ben, I need you to talk to the guy. And he's made his way down to Frazier to talk to guys that because of the madness didn't get quite to that point, but messed themselves up really bad. And this dude shows up and says, all right, what you gonna do?
Put your big boy pants on. It's time to
Yeah. So, man, I'm glad you guys are here tonight. That's perfect time. Let's take a little bit of a break, about 7:30. We'll hit the rooms and kind of debrief. And man, I hope you feel honored and blessed to have been here tonight.